The story of the Jinn Table. I am a young man from Sinai. It is said about me that I am a charlatan or a magician. I harness the jinn in order to implement what I want. Everyone comes to me to do what they want or to pay for the damage they have suffered. Well, actually, what you've heard now is not true. I'm not a witch. But you can say I'm a deceiver. The truth is that I have a talent for reading what is in the mind of the person sitting in front of me.
For example, when a woman comes to me and asks me to make her husband treat her well, I ask her in return for some strange requests. These requests suggest that I am a magician. So this woman believes that I am a magician and that I have the ability to help her. I ask for a piece of paper, write some strange words on it, and then I speak incomprehensible words. I also ask her to listen to her husband, not argue with him too much, and comply with what he tells her. From my talk, it should be noted that any woman who listens to her husband's talk and does not try to anger him will be happy in her life. But in fact, those who come to me want to see me do magic. But in fact, as I told you, I am a deceiver. One day, 3 men came to me who seemed to be from the elders of one of the families or villages. The big man was named Awad, and this man told me that his son had been touched by the jinn and that he wanted me to save him from the jinn. This man offered me a huge sum of money if I could get the genie out of his son's body. This was my favorite type of situation. So immediately I took my bag with some tools and went with the 3 men to see the son of Hajawad. The house was very far away. So, it got dark, and we were halfway through. We were walking on an agricultural road with no electricity. We could only see through the car window. Suddenly, while I was looking out the car window, I saw a man carrying a black cat. The strange thing is that after a few seconds, a man appeared in front of the car, and we couldn't avoid him, so we collided with him. The course of the car changed, and we entered the agricultural land. We ended up in the middle of farmland and hit a big tree. Everyone got out of the car, but I couldn't move because I felt like something was crawling under the car. I looked at the door next to me and saw a blood-stained hand trying to open the door. I tried to close the door quickly, but that hand was very strong. So, she took off the door from its place and threw it away in the air. A blood-stained man appeared in front of me. His eyes were red as blood. This man pounced on my neck and almost killed me. Immediately, the 3 men panicked to save me and managed with great difficulty to tie that crazy man to the tree. This blood-stained man was saying incomprehensible words. Hajawad told me that this man's condition is similar to that of his son. He also asked me to take the genie out of this man's body, and in return I would get more money. I relied on some information I read from books about magic as well as the fact that I took out of my bag a sound made of wolves' skin and heard that the jinn are afraid of wolves. And I started whipping that crazy man. My attitude was very bad. The man was bleeding more, and he didn't show any strange signs. I remembered that there was a spell I read from the book The Son of Knowledge. This spell exorcises the jinn from the human body. As soon as this spell was thrown until that man spoke in a terrifying voice, saying, "I will not leave you, son of Adam, I will not leave you, son of Adam." Then thick black smoke came out of the crazy man's mouth. The scene was frightening. So, everyone started running from the intensity of fear. But I stayed in my place not knowing what to do. This black smoke went to me and penetrated me. And he penetrated me, causing me to fall to the ground immediately. Then I woke up and found myself in a hospital. I sat in the hospital until I recovered and returned home. I decided to stop what I was doing permanently after what happened to me on that trip. I collected all my stuff in magic books and put them in one of the old rooms. After several days and while I was sleeping at night, I heard the sound of a black cat screaming in front of my house. I tried to push it away, but it was looking at me with looks full of hatred as if I had hurt her badly. The next day I went to the store to buy some things, and I saw the same cat in front of me. But this time the cat attacked me and injured my face, causing me to fall to the ground while I was screaming from the intensity of the pain. Then I heard the voice of the store worker saying, "Are you okay?" I opened my eyes and found my face free of wounds. What I saw after that terrified me, the cat in front of me. And no one else saw it, to the point that it was walking and penetrating people's bodies as if it were a ghost that does not exist. I decided to travel to calm my nerves. And on the first night in the hotel, I woke up in the middle of the night to find a huge creature wearing a black cloak and holding a large sword standing over my head. Suddenly, this terrifying creature raised the sword, and I thought he was going to kill me. But he pointed the sword towards my head and stopped. I screamed at the top of my lungs, and some hotel workers entered my room. Well, just like with the black cat, I am the only one who can see that creature. I went back to my house, and this creature kept appearing to me for 13 days. Just like the cat that kept showing me for 13 days. But this creature disappeared to show another creature. This time the thing that appeared to me was death. Death was embodied in the form of a skeleton with a large sickle. And this skeleton kept appearing to me for 13 days. But before the last day was over, something suspicious happened. He knocked on the door forcefully, and I went to see from Altaric. And Hajawad told me that those who were with us on our trip had died, and that he felt that the genie who was in the body of that crazy man. Hajawad suggested we go to Hafez and see what we could do. Suddenly, Hajawad began screaming. Hajawad fell to the ground, and the skeleton turned into black smoke and pierced Hajawad's skull. Hajawad woke up, and we went to that man called Hafez to see what we were going to do. While we were on the way, suddenly blood started coming out of Hajawad's eye, nose, and ear. And then Hajawad died. Hajawad had asked me that in the event of his death during that trip, I would return his body to his sons in his village. I went to Hajawad's village to fulfill his wish. But there was a surprise. His sons told me that their father, Hajawad, had died a month ago. I had no choice but to go to Hafez's house to find the answer. Hafez welcomed me warmly. I am the one who took the genie out of his body. He told me that he works in deciphering magic and getting rid of the harmful genie. While Hafez was trying to get rid of a genie that was in the body of a young girl, this genie came out of the girl to settle in Hafez's body. This is a genie of the red genie type, which is very strong and cannot be eliminated. Hafez told me that although it is difficult to get rid of the red genie, there is a way that can be followed. Hafez continued, at the end of the lunar year, the leader of the Jinn, Azazel, will hold a big feast, and this feast will be attended by the frightened genie. I will give you a magical black cloak that hides you among the Jinn, and when you approach the Jinn, put salt on it. The location of the feast is in one of the nearby cemeteries. There were only 2 days until the banquet, so I prepared thoroughly. And when the time came, I went with Hafez to that cemetery, where the tomb was made of black stone, and we began smashing some stones to let me in. I managed to enter the tomb. I saw in front of me a scary and dark corridor. I walked in the corridor until I reached its end. There was a hall with all the kings of the Jinn, and on top of them, Azazel. I approached the red genie and I put salt on it. Suddenly, all the kings of the Jinn gathered and surrounded me. I did not know what was happening. The cloak is supposed to prevent the Jinn from seeing me. I discovered that Hafez is a servant and a follower of the Jinn. And he's the one who brought me here because the red genie asked him to come every year with an offering to Azazel. It seems that I will become the meal that the Jinn kings will eat. I took out the whip made of wolf skin. The Jinn were afraid of me, and they went back a little. I took advantage of the opportunity and ran outside the cemetery. The Jinn Kings followed me, and I put the cloak on Hafez and threw him in the corridor. The kings of the Jinn took him, and then I heard the sound of Hafez's cries. I went home, and I was very tired. I heard a voice coming from the bathroom. So, I went to find out what was there. And I found a plate with a piece of meat and a tattoo in the form of a skull. Then I knew that this is my share of Hafez. And with the meat there is a human skin that says, Azazel invites you to a feast next year.